Hi guys, it's Emily. So for this week, the discussion was about why we think it's important to understand natural biogeochemical cycles and how this understanding could prevent or decrease degradation to our natural systems. So first of all, I think it's important to understand these systems and cycles because they're the foundation for all, you know, uh, the cycling and the transfer of nutrients and water, all the essential, foundational elements for life, which of course is important. Um, and humans are very dependent on these systems as well, since we are dependent on the resources of the earth. But the other reason I think it's important, especially important for us to understand how these systems function uh, and like the different things that impact them and how they impact us is because humans have a major impact on these cycles due to some of our human activities. So a couple examples would be like the excessive release of carbon dioxide as well as nitrogen compounds in the atmosphere, which those things in combination with the destruction of uh, like forests and other parts and other ecosystems, which are carbon sinks, it makes it very difficult for the planet to process greenhouse gases. Nitrogen fertilizers, which is something that we use a lot in agriculture, heavily contribute to both global warming as well as eutrophication or dead zones in oceans and freshwater systems. I found that nitrogen in soil allows plants to increase their carbon dioxide uptake, which is technically a good thing. But because we're emitting so much carbon dioxide, it doesn't really the net impact is still excess carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and um, more global warming. But the other thing is that excess nitrogen in soils causes more methane to be released in certain ecosystems, which is a more potent greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. So ultimately, excess nitrogen in the systems, although nitrogen is very, very valuable for plant growth and for carbon uptake, it ultimately has a negative impact. Um, so because human activities have such a huge detrimental impact on these cycles by putting so much more of these chemical compounds into the atmosphere, the water, the soil, all of these different places, we're doing a lot of damage to ecosystems. So having an understanding of these systems could help us, well, it does help us come up with solutions to limit what we put out. So for the example of carbon dioxide, obviously there are so many different measures in place as well as measures being worked on to limit carbon dioxide, to limit carbon emissions in general. And again, with the nitrogen fertilizers, there are growing movements towards agricultural methods that require less or no fertilizers or different form of fertilizers, such as using more like natural fertilizers, not man-made fertilizers. So these are just a couple of the ways that people are trying to change things around related to biogeochemical cycles and the nutrients that cycle through them. But having a full understanding allows us to kind of come up with solutions, although the actual implementation of the solutions is much more heavily based on lawmakers and their ability to prioritize long-term sustainability over short-term goals like profitability, but that's a different discussion.